Holy cow. We just climbed that. That's awesome. Is this enough for you? Is this enough for you all who say the Woodland Edition is just is not a real off-roader? Okay, look at that. The right wheel is fully off the ground now, and it's spinning out. So, hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and we are out here going on a little adventure with this 2023 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid Woodland Edition. This is going to be my first review out here in beautiful Lake Forest, California. This is my new home. We're based out of Orange County, California now, and trying a few things new here with the video format. First of all, finding some places in shade in which to shoot some of these videos, but also trying something new with the camera format. So let me know all what you think about seeing my scruffy face on camera here at the beginning. But most importantly here, you're coming to see the RAV4, so let's get right into it. Way off in the distance out that way, let's see if you can see. Oh, can't zoom in. All right, that's great. Out there are the Saddleback Mountains, and there is there's some trails, some hiking trails, and apparently some pretty beaten up asphalt that I want to go explore. So I figured, why not try this most rugged version of the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid out for that experience? Because if you look here on these bronze wheels, we've got all-terrain tires. Falcon Wild Peak all-terrains. They're not necessarily the most hardcore tire I've ever seen, but it's supposed to be doing a little bit of off-roading ability for us here. Also, we've got, technically speaking, all-wheel drive. But for those of you who are a little bit more keen on how some of these all-wheel drive systems work, this one has a connection from the engine to the front axle, like a standard front-wheel drive car, but the rear axle is only battery powered. It's only done with an electric motor. So it's an electric motor in both the front and the rear, and up to about 25 miles per hour or so, you can power that rear axle with the battery. So yes, definitely not the most robust all-wheel drive system, but I don't expect to go taking this off any real crazy off-road experiences here. I wanna go adventure. I wanna do what you'd think the car is capable of. Some of the criticisms of the RAV4 Woodland Edition are, well, my own is actually this Woodland sticker right here. I think for the price, they could at least give you a real badge. I mean, this hybrid badge looks great. Why not give you a Woodland badge? That sticker looks like something you'd get from kind of a buy here, pay here, like dealership or something like that they'd slap on. But you also get these wheels, like I said, the bronze wheels. You also get roof rails. But back to the criticisms. This car costs about $34,000, but it doesn't get you things like heated seats, a sunroof option, doesn't get you the upgraded sound system or the larger screen. So some people are left wondering, well, why am I paying so much for this version of the RAV4 when I could simply get one that costs less or about the same and gets me more features, or get one of the competitors? But let's go get behind the wheel here in a second and we'll talk about why. But I guess I should show you one quick more thing about Woodland Edition. This rear cargo mat that you get covered in trees, and it says Woodland Edition right there. So that's pretty funny. We have used this for some compact crossover activities. I've used it for commuting so far this week, and it's worked pretty darn well. I've been averaging about 37 miles per gallon or so, even after shooting some videos and driving it a little bit harder than usual, but did pretty well with that. We did have the seats folded down, which you can kind of do. I wish it were one of those that had a way to flip down the armrests right here, but we did have the seats down and we transferred a lamp, so it was competent in doing that at least. Took this out pretty easily, just kind of popped out like so. Get that back in. Alright. No power liftgate either on the Woodland Edition. I don't really mind that. I think it's quicker to do it manually, but if you were someone who appreciated that, then that would be something to note. Let's get the seat back up here. As you can see, there was a bird that had a little too much fun on the side of the Woodland Edition here. And here we are. The interior cloth seats. That's all you're getting in the Woodland, and then a rubber steering wheel as well, so no nice leather steering wheel or anything like that. Some Woodland Edition floor mats. All right, let me throw the camera hat on. and let's go do some lifestyle, shall we? Yeah, I think so. All right, one of the big new things for the RAV4 in 2023 is the updated Toyota infotainment system. I did shoot a dedicated review of this 8-inch screen. Check the link in the description if you want to see that. But no longer do we have Toyota Entune. Instead, we have the fancy new system that I think we first came out in the Lexus NX for the new generation there, but we've also seen it now on the new Tundra, the Sequoia, Grand Highlander. All the new Toyota products are getting it, but some of them don't. The 2023 Camry, for example, is still rocking the previous one. So nice to see that here on the RAV4. And it's got some nifty features, including kind of a Google Maps built in. We also have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so I could simply navigate using that. But I want to show you a little feature we've got and also kind of see if it works. The place we're heading to, I picked a pin that should get us up to some interesting areas called Maple Springs Truck Trail. So I'm going to see if the Toyota infotainment system's voice controls can do it for us. Hey, Toyota. All right, off to a good start. Hey, Toyota. Navigate to Maple Springs Truck Trail. Okay, so that worked. It's interesting. It says it's going to take us 46 minutes, but my phone says only 37. How could that be such a discrepancy? Maybe my phone thinks we're going to speed. Oh, it still wanted to go. Yes. Okay, I have the voice commands turned off.
Starting route guidance.
And off.
Turn right at the end of the road onto.
Do you not see where I muted you?
Drive.
Tried muting it. Let's see if that stays. All right, off in the RAV4 hybrid. I've always been a pretty big fan of Toyota's hybrid powertrains. They've been doing hybrids for so long now. I mean, they really kind of started the game with the Prius, and then we saw the RAV4 here, mid-2010s. They just do such a good job with their battery technology, the smoothness with which kind of translate back and forth between the battery and the gas motor. Not to mention this 2.5 liter, the actual engine portion of this hybrid powertrain, is remarkably efficient even when it's not in a hybrid. When it's just in a standard RAV4 or Camry or something like that, it gets really great fuel economy. It's not the most refined sounding and feeling engine, but it really does get the job done well, and it's also going to be remarkably reliable, which is one of the reasons a lot of people choose to pay a little bit more to get something like a Toyota. I have had an interesting situation lately, though. Been driving around, and I don't know if it's related to heat or what, but typically when you're driving these Toyota hybrids around, you can do quite a bit of driving on electricity alone. So for example, in standard operation, and I'm going to put the climate control back to something reasonable here. In fact, let's just turn it off. Let's just completely turn it off and test here. I'm on battery only, and I should be able to make this right turn. Okay, there we go. See? The car should be able to, it went up to about 15 miles per hour right there based on how hard I was pushing the throttle, to drive on electricity alone a little bit. But a lot of my driving this week has made it so that the engine kicks on immediately. As soon as I press the throttle, regardless of how hard I press it, the engine kicks on. It's probably related to the air conditioning, but it's just a little bit strange to me because it's kind of inconsistent in how it's acting. But like I said earlier, we've been getting some fantastic fuel economy. Right now, 36 mpg, but I was doing a ton of idling while shooting these videos. Let's see here how easy it is to get up to speed and around things, not even pressing the accelerator that hard. There we go. Toyota's also come a really long way in their brake feel, because there's kind of this blending that happens between regenerating electricity from your kinetic energy back into the battery, but then you have to transfer that over to the actual physical brakes depending on how hard you need to stop and how fast you're going. It's still not a perfectly seamless transition. I've noticed a few times throughout the week slowing down at kind of a moderate pace, not super easy braking but not super hard. There is kind of a diving effect where you got to break through the regeneration and actually get into your friction brakes, and then they really grab and yank you down. So I wouldn't go as far as to say it's as smooth as just a normal non-hybrid car, but it has come a long way in, if you're driving normally, you do hardly notice that it's a hybrid. I do really appreciate the lightness of the steering. It's such an easy car to drive around. The visibility is good. The way that you kind of sit and orient yourself in the cabin is good. Position of the shifter, the climate controls, the infotainment screen. The ergonomics are really good in this generation RAV4. But I gotta say, I'm disappointed in having to grab this rubber steering wheel. We're talking about a $34,000 car here, and it seems like it'd be worth Toyota at least having a leather steering wheel here. I don't know if it's supposed to be something that the rubber is supposed to hold up longer if you're out getting your hands dirty, doing adventuring, and so they thought the rubber would be a better move, or if it'd feel more rugged or anything, but I'm not a big fan of having to grab that every day. It is nice having a little speed limit indicator right there next to your digital speed. If you can see down on my gauge cluster, I've got my speed right up at the top, and then over on the left, a little speed limit right there. I don't know if it's viewing the actual speed limit signs. I don't think it is. I think it's going off of its internal database, and admittedly, there are definitely times when this one is different from the one in my Google Maps, and sometimes they're both wrong compared to what is actually said on the street. So something to keep in mind, that it's not a perfect system, but in general, let's see, we're just passing a 50-mile-per-hour sign. Oh, and it did change right to 50, so maybe it is camera-based, but the problem with that is there are not always up-to-date speed limit signs on your route. So sometimes you'll pull out onto a road and there won't be any speed limit signs. Like if you took a right here, there's no speed limit sign there. I don't know exactly how it would know what the speed limit is of the route you're on. This is probably a very Charlie-esque complaint. Not even complaint, but observation. Moved out to California here about a week and a half ago, and the speed limits on a lot of these SoCal roads are really high. I mean, this is a residential area, and the speed limit here is 55. So you find yourself often hustling your car, getting it up to speed, really pressing into it, get going, and then you might catch a red light 0.2 miles later, like right here, we're slowing all the way down, and you do really start to see the advantage of having an electric, or at least an electrified vehicle, some sort of hybrid like this or whatever, because if you're driving around in a gas-only type of vehicle, then you get up to speed and you're going 55, maybe 60, and then slamming on your brakes, and you're losing all of that energy that you built up, and you got to rebuild it. You're just wasting it away in brake pad. At least when you have something like a hybrid, or even better, an electric vehicle, then you can recuperate a good percentage of that energy back into your battery and use that energy again to get you up and going. So definitely something to consider. I'm a big fan of hybrids when it comes to any sort of driving. You're going to have to be doing a lot of stopping and going. If you're going to just be cruising on the highway, you're probably better off just getting a gas motor. Here it is, the Saddleback mountain range coming up and getting up this way. It's beautiful. It really is. And I've been looking forward for a while here to exploring it a little bit and doing some lifestyle. So here we are. Thank you, RAV4. Maybe I'll actually utilize some sport mode here as well. These are some twistier, turnier roads coming up, and we might be able to take a little bit of advantage of that. Not that the RAV4 Hybrid Woodland Edition gets very sporty, but hey, sport mode's there, might as well use it, right? Alright, a little bit of open canyon road, over into sport, accelerator down, just a little over 200 combined horsepower in this car, and it really is enough. I've got to say, throughout all of my driving this week, even crazy highway situations, I've never once felt like this car is lacking in power in order to get you up and into spaces that you need to get into, or even to kind of have a little fun. I mean, obviously this isn't going to be a sports car, but as long as you don't mind the whining of that engine with this transmission, then you know, it goes. It motivates itself. It does what it needs to do. Sport mode is pretty much just going to make the throttle feel snappier, make the car feel quicker. As you press the accelerator, it's going to apply more power quicker. It's not like we're dealing with adaptive suspension here or anything. I'm trying to tell if the steering's any heavier. Let's see. Yeah, the steering actually is quite a bit heavier. Okay, so if you like heavier steering, maybe drive your RAV4 around in sport mode. Not only am I exploring this mountain trail we're going to be coming up to here, but also scoping out some good driving roads for future drive reviews. So this is Silverado Canyon Road. I guess this would be the actual Silverado Mountain, somewhere around here. We can hear driving around at about 50 miles per hour, a little bit of the whir of those all-terrain tires. So something to consider if you're really not going to be doing much off-roading, you just simply like the looks of these bronze wheels and the Woodland Edition, maybe get yourself a non-Woodland RAV4 and then just find these wheels on eBay or something like that and fit some more standard highway rubber on there. You're going to have a quieter time, you're going to get a little better fuel economy as well. Throw the shifter over into S mode, and that's going to keep the revs up a little bit. Oh, I think we're coming into an actual little village or something here. Speed limit's dropped way down. Okay, so this is Silverado. I really ought to be in a Chevy truck. Silverado Center. Okay, getting a little market. That's cute. A kitchen. A post office for Silverado, California. Okay, that's fun. Just like that, all of a sudden, it's a trailhead. I think we're doing more adventuring now. No green sticker vehicles, street legal vehicles only. Fortunately, I am street legal. It is worth noting that unlike more of the TRD off-road style gas versions of the RAV4 that get kind of an individual suspension tuning, this is still just going to have the same suspension as all of the rest of your RAV4 hybrids. So yes, we have a little bit more traction because of those all-terrain tires, but we don't have any additional ground clearance, and we also don't have any additional bump absorption or anything that's going to help handle this broken asphalt any better. All we do have is a trail mode that we can engage, and that is going to, as we see right there, send power a little bit more evenly to all four wheels, and it's also going to be a little bit more conservative with brake biasing, and if we were to kind of get in some broken pavement and slam on the brakes, it's going to try to manage that situation better. Let's hit this pothole here. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so you see here, let me see if I can show you. You can see over the hood, pretty rocky section right there. I'm probably going to take it to the side here. So that might be a reason to want some all-terrain tires. Some puncture resistance, perhaps. Also, you have to remember, if you're doing a lot of dirt road driving, muddy, or snow perhaps, having something like all-terrain tires, even more of these highway spec all-terrain tires, they're going to give a little bit more confidence and a little bit more ability when it comes to emergency maneuvers in these sort of situations. So if an animal were to run out in front of me, if I were to have to slam on the brakes for whatever reason, theoretically speaking, something with a little bit more ability to grab into dirt and rocks and gravel is going to stop me sooner and allow me to make more maneuver than more of a highway spec tire. More water, that's beautiful. I also kind of like when the engine is off and it gets so quiet you can hear. Nice and quiet. That's beautiful. Now, a lot of people have compared this to something like the Subaru Outback Wilderness, and so far, I really don't see any reason to go with the Outback over this from an abilities standpoint. The Outback is a more capable off-road vehicle. It's going to give you that extra ground clearance and a more robust all-wheel drive system, but I picture most people buying these types of vehicles to kind of be doing something like this and not much more. Something where, yeah, they want to have a little bit more confidence and a little bit more security when it comes to sort of their rough terrain adventures like this, but they're not actually going out to hardcore two tracks and off-road trails. I mean, if you're going to be doing that hardcore stuff regularly, you're just going to get yourself a Jeep or a Bronco or something that's purpose-built fully for that. But at least something like this RAV4 Wilderness, or Woodland, goodness, you're still getting excellent day-to-day highway fuel economy and driving characteristics. I mean, that the Outback's getting something like mid to low 20s in fuel economy, and that's pretty darn awful. Whereas this, you're getting mid to high 30s. It's getting a pretty significant difference there, and it's just more enjoyable to drive around. Let's drive around this little section real fast. It's going to have a little bit of hill, and it's going to allow me to test this all-wheel drive a little bit. We've got actually a little all-wheel drive screen right here. I can see what sort of power is going to each wheel. Okay, look at that. The right wheel is fully off the ground now, and it's spinning out. So it's saying those two wheels are spinning, and I can't get up any further. Let's try again. There we go. A little momentum's doing it. So no locking diffs or anything. That would have helped in that sort of situation. But hey, we got through. It's just a little stress test. Definitely not something I had to take. You get all the way up here testing a vehicle like this, and then you see that a Honda Civic is just chilling, parked on the side of the road. So, I mean, that kind of shows you. But again, it's about having the confidence. I mean, he or she would have come up over some of those really broken sections and had to be really careful. Whereas this, I could be a little bit more confident at least. We've made it to the truck trail mark on Google Maps. Doesn't really seem like there's anything here, although maybe there's a trail that goes off to the side or whatever. So I'm just gonna keep going. You know, we got time, and I'm going to keep woodlanding. Another pretty darn cratered out section of this road. Let's get back to our all-wheel drive screen here. No problemo. We have reached a point where it is now all dirt. The asphalt has disappeared. So this is actually going to be a little bit more of a test of the RAV4 now. And actually, I'm kind of curious if trail mode even matters. So I'm going to turn trail mode back off. And we're going to see if we end up getting in any sticky situations here. See if maybe trail mode helps us out after that. Alright, so far ground clearance not an issue, traction not an issue, suspension not an issue. So far I'd say the only thing that's something with a little more ground clearance, like a TRD off-road RAV4 or maybe a Outback or Forester Wilderness could do better, is maybe just be able to do this faster. I mean, I'm taking this pretty easy because I don't want to risk damaging anything underneath the vehicle, and if I did have an extra few inches of ground clearance, then you know, maybe I'd feel a little bit more confident in that. But it's not like I've doing this road here I've had any scraping issues while taking it easy. I would think this is about as hardcore as anyone in this class of vehicle is going to do. Why would you need to do more than something like this without any sort of in your regular day-to-day, if you're getting sort of to any sort of hiking trails, mountain biking, whatever, I just can't see you doing doing something more hardcore than this, unless you're specifically seeking out a trail with which to go off-roading on. There aren't going to be too many roads that are getting you to something else for a different purpose that are going to be worse than this. And this RAV4 Woodland Edition is doing it totally fine. I mean, yeah, I'm going pretty slow. The slowest I've actually been going is over the sharp rocks, because I did realize that while we do have a spare tire, it's only a compact spare. So that is something to consider. Some of the other more hardcore off-roadery vehicles are going to get you a dedicated spare tire. But you could always get a full-size spare and maybe just leave it in your trunk if you're going to be doing something like this regularly with the RAV4. But why do you need something more? Why do you need something more hardcore when this is handling this so well? Is this enough for you? Is this enough for you all who say the Woodland Edition is just is not a real off-roader? Or is it just that the RAV4 is that good based on its basic platform? That's also an argument to be made. More off-road play area. So this is more just, can your vehicle do it? Not necessarily any real reason for it, I don't believe. Let's see if we can do this. I don't think we're going to be able to. I'm gonna be honest with you. Holy cow. We just climbed that. That's awesome. All right, well, I think this proves that the Woodland Edition is plenty enough for just about any RAV4 buyer looking to get a little bit of extra usability and exploring capability out of their RAV4. I mean, look at this vista we were able to get up to, and look at this hill we went up. I mean, following our tracks here, that is not an easy feat. This is dusty, slippery sand, and before you criticize my flip-flops, just mind your business. I like keeping it Old Testament here. But that was pretty intense to be able to come up there, let the traction control do its work, and work the RAV4 up, come around, and get to see some fantastic view like this. So all in, I get it. If you're going to come out and want to have a vehicle that you can feel a little bit more confident to do stuff a little bit less hardcore than this regularly, maybe be going up to mountain biking trails, hiking, things like that, or maybe even you just run dirt roads a lot, or maybe you just really like the look of the bronze wheels. I don't know. You do pay a little bit of that price penalty, and you're missing out on some RAV4 features. Anyone know if that's the sound of a rattlesnake? But I can say the RAV4 Woodland Edition, and really just the RAV4 hybrid in general, is definitely one of the most do-it-all sort of vehicles. To be able to go out and get 37 mpg and mixed driving, which I did do earlier this week, and then come out and do something like this, it's pretty special. It's a pretty cool vehicle. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the RAV4, check the link in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, Woodland on.